Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, and you'll notice we have a big clean yard here with lots of stuff.
We're gonna have to organize at some point.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be selling a lot of this stuff. I just wanted to show people that I realized by accident, because we had done all this mowing before around the field, that notice my baler right now is almost filled up with straw. But if I turn it on now, oh, I apparently can't turn it on from the pickup truck.
Aw.
Oh no, it was just wait, can I not? Yeah, you can fold it and unfold it, but you can actually turn it on. I have to switch to the other tractor. I was trying to do this. Long story short, you guys will notice I realized that you can fill just the very end of it up with grass. Oops, I hit tab and that's it. You can fit the end of it with grass, and it turns the whole bale into grass, which makes it so it is now able to be wrapped. So it's like a cheaty way to be able to get more yield out of grass bales, and therefore we can sell them for more money.
I don't know what's going on. It's giving me the sound like it's refilling my fertilizer, but it's not refilling my fertilizer.
Did you buy fertilizer?
I did.
See, and boop. Now we're filled with a grass bale. Let's see when I drop it off over here.
Did I buy the wrong kind of fertilizer?
Grass bale. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you don't.
I mean, I thought there was only the liquid or the seed stuff, right? And that's definitely not the liquid stuff.
Right.
Why can I not get this thing? Okay, screw this.
I wonder if it's because it's like in the grass here, like it's in a weird spot. I don't know. I'm gonna move it.
Are you sure you didn't back up to one of the random seed ones we have around?
No, it's the one I just dumped. God, I hate everything.
Yeah, those are definitely the right ones. Pretty sure they're the right ones.
Like it's giving me the sound like it's filling up, but it's not. Yeah, here, you get in there and see if you can fill it up.
Let's see. It's at 341.
Yeah.
Turn on refill. Yeah, fills up for me.
Huh, that's just been bugged for me.
There you go. Oops. God, I keep hitting tab instead of jumping out of the tractor. There you go. It's all full.
Thank you.
So basically now I'm going to start collecting these bales, and we're going to see how much
Yeah, I
money
can't
we
wait to
get.
see
Oh,
how much
God,
money.
It's going to be good. So question for you. I don't know if you saw the news in the last couple days related to the Harvard students.
No. Mm-mm.
So Harvard has rescinded 10 admissions offers that they gave out to students due to violation of the integrity policy, because they started a private Facebook group where they were posting and sending each other images that were I'm trying to remember all the details of them, but they were basically making fun of, you know, the Holocaust, and I don't know if they were making fun of sexual assaults and stuff in there too, but some, you know, unethical types of behavior that Harvard stated was against their integrity policy, and they have the ability to withdraw admissions applications from anybody that might not, you know, hold up to that position. And I was curious, what are your thoughts on colleges utilizing things like social media on making admissions decisions, for one?
You know, see, normally I would be against this, but it is a private organization, right? I mean, jobs do the same thing. I mean, I've told you before, I was once fired because I'd made a website. I think I told you this story before.
I think you did, but hold on. You ready to watch the price?
Yeah. Let's see it. You got 8 of them?
8 of them.
Oh my god, that feels great.
Oh, that's amazing.
That is amazing. Jesus. Oh my goodness. How many do we have?
I still have... Let me come back over here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wrapped bales I still see sitting around. And then there's some random non-wrapped ones around.
So that's like, it was like 14,000 you just got for the 8?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's good money right there.
Some of these are tipping accidentally. One of them just tipped onto the baler accidentally on its own. It's not in a position, it's just hanging on
it's just
for dear life. But there's actually 2 of them. Oh, there it goes. One of them rolled out.
But yeah, I mean, I do think, I mean, it's one of those things that's hard to say. Like, you know, this, I almost feel like, you know, like whenever I got screwed over by the whole, like I'd made that, where I'd been a part of the third shift group or whatever, and had this website, and they didn't even ask any questions. They just saw what they did, read into it, what they wanted to read into it, and fired me.
Didn't they think you were using like company time or property or something like that as well?
No, that was a different thing. That was whenever I'd made a database for a game I played, and I'd stored it on, like, we got a free website as an employee of the company. Like, we had like a free subdomain name basically, and I had just posted it there and whatever, and they decided it was obviously something I was selling, not just for own personal use or whatever. That was a different thing. Okay. Now the third shift thing was, when I'd worked in high school, I'd worked a third shift at an ISP, and the guy had created the thirdshift.net website, and it was like, I don't even know the point of the website. It just like was like this trolley website with, like, I don't know. Whenever he was a Mormon, so he had to go to Africa or somewhere on a mission. I think it was Africa, and he like left me in charge of it. And I ended up turning it into a semi-porn site.
Was that all?
Well, it had like random, like weird, bizarre porn.
It was semi-porn though. It was like they would try but not quite get there. They couldn't close the deal. It was like,
well, it still had all the shit that like he made. Like, he'd made this Java game called The Killing Game that you'd get like you'd be asked questions, and if you got the questions wrong, it would like kill your browser by doing so many pop-ups that, like, well, it'd kill your computer basically, like so many pop-up windows that your computer couldn't handle it, and it would just die. Eventually Windows or Explorer and all the browsers fixed this so you couldn't exploit this, but so anyways, he'd made this game called The Killing Game, and then like we'd get hate mail and we'd respond to it, and we'd, like, people enjoyed like reading that shit. There was once a school teacher, I'd gone to a play and we got there just a few minutes late, and he treated us like shit, and then so like I'd sent him a link to The Killing Game, and he called the police on me and all this shit, and like so I was just gonna like murder him, and we like traded like several emails. He was basically like a man-child. He should have been corresponding back and forth with this 19-year-old kid, but he definitely was. Like, it wasn't even the high school I went to. I just it just happened to be, yeah. Anyways, so anyways, after I left that company and moved up here, I'd got a job as a temp, doing data entry, and my roommate moved with me from down there. I don't know why he did this. It just happened. Like, I quit my job down there and was going to move up here, and then suddenly he quit his job and was like, I'm moving too. And it's like, no one fucking invited you. But anyways, I was stuck with him, and so we moved up here, and then I got this job. He wasn't even looking for jobs. He was pretty much worthless, just this worthless guy. I should have just cut ties with him very early on, but just kept like letting him freeload. So after, like, they hired me full time, and they needed someone still to fill the data entry job that I had, and so I was like, well, I recommended my roommate, and because I was tired of paying all his bills and him doing nothing, and so they're like, well, we need to see his resume. So I had hosted it on the third shift to print it, so I could go to like down to the UPS store. I don't remember where I went, but I went somewhere to print his resume because I didn't actually have a printer. and I just hosted on the third shift, and then the URL was at the bottom of the page, basically, because it had been printed from there. It was kind of dumb on my part, really. So they went to the website, and those pictures of me on there too, because like all the members of the third shift group were like, we had like pictures on there, so they, at the end of the day, like after he had worked like 2 days there or something like that, I don't remember how long it was. It wasn't very long. They like call us in the office and we're like, "Yep, we're letting you go because of this third shift stuff." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Yeah.
So, what if it was something you had hosted on your own site? Well, no, sorry, this is a new company.
Right. What do you? Yeah, like what? Do what now?
So I'm just trying to get the idea of where this was. This wasn't hosted anywhere to do with the company.
No,
They just
it was
happened
hosted
to
by
see
my previous
that you
employer.
did. Okay.
Yeah, I had a website that didn't meet their family values. Basically, the things that were on that website, I made me incompatible.
And it was a public website.
Yeah.
So what do you think about a private Facebook group?
Well, my question is, for one thing, how'd they even get access to it?
Well, they were on it. It was their private Facebook group. I do think it was they were connected. If I read it correctly, that they were actually like connected through like the Harvard had a Facebook page for the incoming freshmen, and some people connected on it and made a private group. I don't know if it was connected to the Harvard group or if it was its own group, just with people that originally found out about it from this group that got invited or what. That I don't know all the details of. But I guess Harvard caught wind that this was happening and then asked somebody in the group to hand over all of the like correspondences that had pertained within it, and then went through and they rescinded admissions for anybody that they felt.
I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable. Like in my case, they didn't ask any questions over, but there wasn't. A lot of it was taken out of context. I feel like I don't know. I don't have all the information in front of me, but it sounds like there's probably enough information there that you couldn't really take it out of context. What was being talked about and said and shared. So even if this whole thing was like even a joke thing, I don't know. Harvard probably doesn't want to be associated with those kind of people. And I think that schools have the right to decide that sort of thing.
So I guess, though, where does the line get drawn on free speech?
Well, I think that their free speech wasn't inhibited. They still have that right. They weren't arrested or anything. They just, I mean, people, you're free to say whatever you want. But if you started saying shit that I didn't agree with, even though we've been friends for forever, I would distance myself from that sort of thing, right? Like, wouldn't you?
Right, but our college is allowed to discriminate based on things like race, religion, sexuality.
I don't think that. I think so, aren't they? I mean,
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know the answer to that. My assumption would be no, because that seems like it'd be a First Amendment violation, right?
I don't know, because they're private organizations. They're not public entities that are required to meet some kind of standard.
But aren't you're not?
I mean, aren't there still all boys schools and stuff like that? All girls schools?
Employment practices for private companies, even you still have to abide by those rules, right?
Do you?
I think so. Pretty sure I can't just say because I run my own business that I specifically will state. Granted, it'd be hard to prove, but that I wouldn't hire somebody because they were like gay or Muslim or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's illegal, even if it's a private business.
I think that's state-based. I think it's state. I think the state decides that.
The state decides if you can be discriminatory?
Right, for sure, because there are laws I know in certain states that allow you to refuse service to gay people. Still.
Well, okay, what kind of service? It allows
like like I could have a restaurant and be like, I'm not going to serve you because you suck dick. I remember reading about. I mean,
I don't know enough about that. I guess
like there was tons of businesses that came forward with that. Remember that crazy lady that wouldn't marry those two people, even though even the federal government.
Yeah, that was fucked up because you're working on behalf of the government who allows for this sort of thing, and you're just using your own personal prejudice to not do it, which is fucked up. But now I guess I am thinking businesses do have the right to refuse service to anybody for any reason.
Yeah,
I guess for patronage.
And schools are a business in the end of the day.
Yes, schools are a business. I mean, the government's a business at the end of the day, though. So maybe that lady with the
But I
bears
think
thing
that there's
was right.
federal laws. Well, there's federal laws that. I mean, okay. Here's a good example. The other day, Walgreens, one of the pharmacists there refused to provide someone with birth control because it goes against their religion. And Walgreens basically said, "Yeah, we support that."
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a law that they couldn't do that in those types of.
No.
Because that gets you stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because what if you live in a small town that's like the only pharmacist in the town?
Right. Well, what Walgreens said was that in the event one pharmacist doesn't want to fill a prescription, another pharmacist will be on hand to do that. But in this case, that was the only pharmacist on duty, so the person just couldn't get their birth control. And Walgreens basically put out a statement saying, "Yep, that's our policy. If our pharmacist doesn't want to do something, he doesn't have to."
Because I guess that would be interesting because you think of like a physician who doesn't have to perform like a procedure like an abortion or something like that if they don't believe in that, but you're always going to be able to go find another physician who will, but maybe you won't.
I mean, apparently it's becoming more and more difficult to do that because, of like the way that regulation has been set up to prevent these types of facilities to be in certain areas and stuff.
Right.
So the distance you have to travel, and for a low-income person, it becomes not feasible anymore to make that, like, to make it possible to do what you need to do to actually attain that abortion.
See, I'm still trying to, like, what I'm trying to grasp is, in my head, I think if you put something out there publicly on Facebook or any social media site and it goes against the values of whatever organization that you're part of, I think they're within their full right to be able to say, no, we will not accept this. But I think, in my opinion, the rules should be different when it becomes to a private group, for one. I mean, it'd almost be like I was sitting on my couch one day bullshitting with a friend and telling, like, inappropriate jokes, but a Harvard guy, like, happened to be walking by my front door and knocked on my door and then overheard me saying it.
I don't think that analogy fits, though, because Facebook, even if you have a private group on Facebook, it's a public-facing website. I think then
my house faces a public street.
Sure, but you don't know who all is in that private group. Even though it's a private group, there's still a lot of anonymity, and I don't know. You're just putting hate speech out there to a lot of people that I don't know. You put it out there. You should pay the consequences for whoever reads it. Like, I don't think it's not like it's regulated to the point where it was like this is a safe space sort of thing.
What if I sent an email?
Okay. Who'd you send it to?
I sent it to a buddy of mine, specifically. But let's say it was through gmail.com, and the founders of Google looked at it and were like, I don't agree with what this person said. I'm going to shoot this over to Harvard and see what they think about this.
I mean, I think it's a little different. But I still think, even your scenario of you're sitting on your couch, if it comes to the attention of whoever, your employer, your school, whatever, if it goes against like the ethics that they want to represent, I think they have the right to tell you to fuck off.
So does that mean, do we have the right to tell Donald Trump to fuck off because he's not fulfilling the ethics that we would hope he would represent?
Well, I kind of was thinking about that the other day. Like, so we have the right to bear arms, and we have the right to hold assembly, but I mean,
go on.
We can't overthrow the government. We can't go and just kick him out, even no matter how many people wanted to.
Which I think is kind of fucked up, because I think we should be able to, as he's supposed to be representing us, right?
Yeah.
I think if enough people banded together, I'm not saying it's to the point where people should, like, band together to try to overthrow, but if it did get to that point, yet House and the Senate and Congress and all that stuff were unwilling to do anything about it, but a vast majority of Americans wanted to, shouldn't we have that ability?
I mean, yeah, but we don't.
Yeah.
Because if you tried to, you know, show up with guns, you would be arrested and probably killed.
Probably.
Even if there was thousands of you.
Did they kill all thousands?
Probably.
Try at least.
I mean, if you're there shooting, right? If you're trying to take over the government.
What if we were trying to take over the government peacefully?
What does that look like? Please leave.
Yes, please leave. Excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Trump. You're blocking the way to soon to be somebody else's office.
Yeah.
Please move. I don't know. I just have this whole. It's really weird because I basically, especially being in like, you know, YouTube and all, I know that basically anything that I say is going to be scrutinized and a terrible thing, and I very easily could lose my job if I said enough terrible things that people could think would represent the company that I work for in a negative light. And I understand that because I'm putting them out there publicly. I do also agree that I'm allowed to have my own opinion and all, but yeah, I guess you can fire me if you'd like for having an opinion that you feel reflects poorly upon you as a business. But not if I were to just say something like with my buddy, or if I'm just having a conversation with you one of those times when we're not recording. And I'm trying to think of an example of how this would get out there, or, you know, like, or you decided to call up my workplace and we're like, you guys might want to know, like, last night Jeff was talking this shit about you and that shit about you when him and I were bullshitting. But it wasn't something that was like out there publicly, but maybe you recorded it and then you, because, you know, they're for a record, and send it to them.
Uh-huh.
Is that something I should be able to get fired for?
I mean, it would be a shitty thing, like
Oh,
we're just using me as an example. That'd be a shitty thing for someone like me to do, right?
Agree. And, you know, we all know you're a horrible person, though. I mean,
right. They're totally capable of this sort of thing.
Of course.
I mean, yeah. I guess it is. It is. I mean, it would be bullshit. I'm not saying this would not be bullshit, but yeah, I guess, like, okay, let's say you're at a bar. And you're in the corner. You don't think anyone can hear you, but you know, one of your superiors is in the booth behind you, and you didn't realize this, and you're talking the same shit about your employer. Does he have the right to take action?
See, my assumption would be no. But I don't know the rules and regulations on that either. I guess, didn't something similar just happen the other day with the one of the guys in Flint with the whole Flint water crisis thing? Didn't some video come out of somebody had taken of him at the bar saying, like, using the N-word and saying that the reason that Flint was in the crisis is because, you know, the N-word wasn't paying their bills?
I don't know
Just
about
a
this.
story like the other day, and from what I gather from it, this was literally like a recording that somebody took of him, like, that he didn't know about at a bar. But I could be completely wrong on that, because there was I only saw one article on it, which I was kind of surprised. I would think that would be kind of a big deal, given the whole nature of the Flint thing. But I really haven't heard much else about it. So
I don't think anyone cares about Flint anymore.
that's probably true. I don't think they really care about it in the first place, except that it was something to complain about. You know, all this stuff happened. It got picked up. Great demand for wool. It got picked up as this, you know, huge story because it was such a big deal. I think a lot of people just rallied behind it, not because they cared about Flint, but because they were just like, oh, government, let's get mad at them for a while about doing shit. I agree it was terrible. I'm from Flint, so I think it was, like, worth it for the, you know, for the people to get upset about and make such a national, you know, story and all, but I don't... It shouldn't be out of the limelight already if people really cared about it that much.
Right. That's how these things go, though. Something more. The news has something new to talk about, so
right.
That's not something we're talking about anymore. And shit, with our new president, man, who can keep up?
There's way too much stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
On way more than 140 characters can ever give us.
Yeah.
I've just been wrapping more grass bales because I like watching the money come in.
God, there was something I was going to say, and I don't know what it was now.
Was it about the Harvard thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was in the same line. What I was going to say is, I mean, to some degree, you're lucky that the stupid video that you made that should never have been a big deal at all didn't become a bigger deal, because I think that there are people that think that, you know, that, I mean, like, that could have affected your employment, basically, and it really shouldn't have.
Yeah, it easily. I was actually worried for a while it was going to, and it was, you know, with complete unintentionally, because it was completely misconstrued. But yeah, I was actually worried about it for a while, that was going to affect my employment.
And like that to me, that's an example of when it shouldn't. Like, you know, you had not done anything wrong, and you know, so
right. So, but I guess then, had I blatantly done something wrong against my company, like when do they have the ability to you know, actually take action? And I guess in theory it could be whenever. I wonder how easy it would be to have, like, because people sue employers constantly over, like, wrongful terminations and all that stuff, and I wonder how many times employers are actually getting sued over wrongful termination for those types of terminations.
this tractor won't move anymore. Why did you stop, tractor?
What's...
I was able to stop the fertilizer, but I can't.
Wait, are you just cruising up the hill?
I've lost my connection to the game.
Oh.
Well, I guess we should stop there, because I have to enter the password to log back in anyway, so you want to call it there?
Sounds good. All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.